Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us for our third webinar of a series of 3 this week. Really pleased to have you all here, and thank you very, very much to all of our speakers, panelists today who've given up their time to come and present information to you. I'll do a little bit of an introduction, some housekeeping first of all, and then some kind of context, and also want to share with you some of the Borough Council's resources. But before I kind of crack on, just want to reassure everybody who's watching today that if you're not visible on screen, if you're not one of our invited presenters who's all teed up and ready to speak, your cameras and microphones will be off. So we can't see or hear you, and you can relax, move around, and just sit back and watch the presentations today. So no worries about being seen on camera. That said, the chat function is live, so we would really welcome you all to make use of that and be interactive with us today. So feel free to introduce yourselves, say hello. We'll hopefully be sharing some links as we go along, so you can go back and refer to our different organisations, our speakers' websites and the resources that they want to share. Equally, if you have things that you feel you would like to share, please do that. Pop those links, questions in the chat box. We'll try and keep an eye on those. We can't promise to answer all questions today because we are going to try and keep time to around about an hour. But if we do get questions that we don't get round to answering in the moment, please rest assured that we will answer those at a later point. We're going to try and put some question and answers up on our website for people to read retrospectively. The session's also recorded, so you'll be able to view it again later and pass that link on to any of your colleagues and peers or anyone that you think may find the content here valuable. It's something that we really wanted to preserve so it can be used again and again. And I would also mention that as this is the third of 3 webinars this week, we have got recordings of the first and second. So if you missed those, then you can also go back and watch them, and we'll share links on social media and on our website and so forth for that to happen. At our first webinar on Tuesday, which was on financial hardship and distress, we had an opening address from Councillor Jeremy Pert, who's our Cabinet Member for Communities and Health at the Borough Council. So he really welcomed everyone and opened the series for us with some great context around how we came to be at this point. So I would encourage folks to go back and watch that. It's a useful introduction to the series, as well as obviously all the wonderful speakers that came thereafter on financial hardship and distress. And then this morning's session was on mental health and wellbeing, so that's also worth a watch. I will have a closing slide at the end of today's presentations. So whilst each speaker will present about their organisations and they will undoubtedly share the relevant links and contact information for you, there will be a reminder. So if you miss it, you don't need to worry. We'll hold that screen up for a little while at the end, as well as, like I say, posting in the chat. I think that's all for housekeeping. So how we came to this point, what an unusual year it's been. And what a difficult year for so many of us and so many of the communities that we're trying to serve and support. And the Borough Council reached out after the end of the first lockdown to parish councils and elected members and community organisations and residents groups. And we really asked all of our partners and stakeholders, tell us how it went. You know, lockdown was thrust upon us quite quickly and people responded very, very quickly indeed. How did that go and what did you do? And what issues presented themselves to you and what concerns do you now have for the future? And it was on the basis of the feedback that we received through those discussions and the answers to those questions that prompted us to put these webinars on. We wanted to answer with the information that people were looking for. Overwhelmingly, it was, where do we signpost residents when they come to us with questions? Where do we go? Where's the best source of information? Where's all that held? Who's got it? Where is it refreshed and most live? So we did do a refresh of our own Borough Council web pages, and I'll share those in just a moment. But in addition, we felt that actually we can put external links on there, and that's a lot of reading. And you can go down a rabbit hole of clicking one link and then the next and almost forget where you started. And so we wanted to pull together the experts to answer those key questions. And that's really what we have for you today. So this is what people told us they wanted, and hopefully it will serve you well. Equally, if we haven't covered something that is important to you or emerges to become more important, more of a priority over the coming months, do reach out and let us know. This isn't the end. We would like to continue updating our information and potentially put on more of these webinars if people find them valuable. So let us know what content or speakers you'd like to see in future. Now, with a pinch of luck, I'm going to show you my slides. How's that? I'm getting a nod. Okay, great. So here's our agenda for today. So you got myself up top. I'm the lead officer for health and housing strategy at the Borough Council. And after I've given you just a whistle-stop tour of the Borough Council's webpage, you're going to hear from Lucy Grattan from the County Council, Anne Ross from Support Staffordshire, Lucy Cox from Staffordshire Council of Voluntary Youth Services, affectionately known as Skivvies, Sarah James from the County Council, and then I'm going to close the session at the end. Huge thanks to Sarah Ruff and Sarah Warren from the Borough Council, who are also supporting today and have been supporting all of our speakers throughout the process of preparations. So here is the Borough Council's webpage. This is accessed through our main page, and I'll try and show you how you do that from a live website. It is quite easy to get to, she says. There we go. I was warned to accept my cookies before I did this, and I haven't heeded the warning, have I? So there's the Borough Council's main page. And if you scroll down, you've got this really obvious coronavirus updates link to click into. And if we use that, we've got some information here that speaks to all parts of society, really, businesses and individuals and residents and communities. And just here under the support for residents and communities heading, we've got a help for individuals, talk to us link. And this is the one that we've really done a significant chunk of work about. And what we're really encouraging people to do is within your organisations, get together, spend some time, explore the website, click the links, see where it leads you. Has very much been focused around people who may have never needed help before, or may have simply never asked for help before. We did not want to lead with stuff that people have seen many, many times before, and really gear it to the kind of anxieties and pressures that people are feeling at the moment, which we were told were largely to do with finances and household bills, furlough, unemployment, reduced hours and reduced income, really affecting people's ability to pay their rent and their bills. And obviously Christmas is a huge pressure. So we've put lots of information here. We have included links to our partners. So Stafford and Rural Homes are also running Talk to Us as a campaign. So if you are supporting a resident who is a Stafford and Rural Homes tenant, it's worth exploring this link because they also offer information around money management, debt advice, and employment and back to work services. Similarly, we have a link for landlords. So we appreciate that not all landlords necessarily understand the process to support someone if they're having difficulties. And not all landlords are bad guys and just kick people out when they can't pay the rent. You know, lots of landlords are very supportive, want to help people, maybe just don't know where to start. So the Borough Council has provided some advice for landlords to do that. So this is about anyone being able to find the right help at the right time for any person that's coming to them for assistance. We've got some links there to the food banks, which will take you to a directory of local food banks. If you're an organisation that's offering a food bank service and you're not listed on here, please do let us know. We'd love to include that information so that it's out there with your opening times and what services you provide. We're happy to keep updating that for as many different food bank services as pop up to make sure that they're all accessible. Some of our self-help tools like the Council's benefits service is on here. And again, some more external links to those places that can support you if you're having difficulties with benefits and employment. Mental wellbeing, some great resources. Looks like just 2 small links, but they really do delve into a wealth of resources here. And also relationship breakdowns, physical health, and all of our webinars are at the bottom, which I intend, instead of being the registration links, will become the YouTube links when these sessions have completed. So you'll be able to get to them by going through this website. So I'm going to stop there. I think you've heard enough from me for a little while. I'll keep an eye on the chat box for your questions, but it's now my absolute pleasure to hand over to Lucy Grattan from Staffordshire County Council. Lucy's going to present to us on a couple of different areas that we're interested in, Staffordshire Connects, and doing our bit. So Lucy, if you're ready, I'll hand over to you.
Hi everybody, my name's Lucy Grattan. I work in public health at the Staffordshire County Council, and I oversee a website known as Staffordshire Connects. So Staffordshire Connects is a website that has details of different community groups, services and activities that are available in your local area. It covers the whole of the county and it aims to provide information about services all in one place. I'll just share my screen with you so you can see the website. There we go. So the website, the email address at the top, and obviously Sam will share it with you after as well. It's broken down into 4 main areas, one being around children, families and care leavers that focus on anything from around childcare up to services for children and families up to 18. There's a separate section which I'm hovering my mouse over at the moment, which is for special education needs and disabilities, and that covers information for children and families up to 0 to 25. There's a section which I'll show you in a moment, which is for adults and communities, and the final section is for the adult social care market, which is around training provision for adult social care workforce. Okay, I'll just click into the adults and communities section. Should do, there we go. So there's just a bit of information at the top of the page, which just tells you a little bit about what this particular section covers, and then each of the area then is broken down into different themes. There's 12 different themes on this particular section. And if you scroll a little bit further down, there's a useful tools section which you might find interesting. There's a link out there that takes you to a social care self-assessment tool, and there's a link that takes you to a health and wellbeing app finder website, and also a link that takes you to Ask Sarah, which will provide support around assistive technology. And if we just scroll further down, there's a news page at the bottom of the page, which we just put the latest county council campaigns or anything newsworthy items on there. So that just scrolls around. So basically, how do you search for your site? Basically, there's a search bar at the top where you can enter a keyword. And you can drop down to see the different themes. So I'll just click my mouse here. And you see lots of different themes to choose from all the way down. And you can put in a keyword, so I'll just put in food banks at the moment because that's quite topical. And then you can also narrow your search by putting in a town, or you can put a postcode in. So I'll just put a postcode in. And then all you do is just press the search button. And then that's just brought me a load of different listings that are available in your local area for different food banks. So it tells me the Staffordshire surrounds community food support, which is the food bank. It tells me from that postcode, it's 0.14 miles away. And then there's different listings underneath that. So if I want to find out a little bit more about this particular listing, I'll just click into it. And then that listing just tells me a bit of information about that organisation, who to contact, gives me a telephone number, it gives me the website to go to, tells me where they're based, and then I can choose what I want to do with that information I've got. I can click into the website and take a look at their web page, or I can choose to print that information off. I can choose to share it as a text message with somebody. If I wanted to enter my own mobile number, it'll send me the information via a text message. I can put my own postcode in, it'll give me some directions to where that organisation is based if I wanted to go visit them. I can also add that information to what's known as my shortlist, which is a bit like a shopping basket where I can have a look at different listings that are available and then collect them in a list. And if I wanted to add that to my shortlist, you just click into it. It will appear in this button here at the top. And if I click into that, it should have entered it into there. So if I go back and click additional listings, they'll all come into this shortlist here. Okay, if I just go back onto the main site. So as well as using the search bar, I can also search for what I'm looking for by one of the themes. So if I just click into one of the themes, I'll click into Help at Home. And I've come into the help at home section. I then got presented with a load of different other themes, which I can then click on. So I'm looking for something around equipment and technology, I can click into that section. And then if I want to narrow my search down again, I can click on to say I'm looking for telecare and alarms. It'll show me what listings that we've got available in that particular section. So we're always looking for new services and groups to join Staffordshire Connects, and it'd be great if you could join or simply promote the site to your beneficiaries so more people know about it. It's completely free to join, and it's really simple to sign up and create an account. All you have to do is to click register at the top of the page, which I'm just hovering my mouse over to. Just type in your name, your surname, enter an email address, and you create a password. You'll then be sent an activation code to your chosen email address. If you pop that code in, you're then able to sign into the account. And when you sign into your account, all you're doing is taken to a dashboard where you'll find a template to complete about your offer. If you fill that in with all the information that you want to share, that then gets sent off to the Staffordshire Connects team just to make live on the website. You can then sign back into the website anytime and edit the listing. And it's been really important to try and keep the information up to date, but you'll also be sent an email every 12 weeks that prompts you to say that your listing is need a review, and will you please log in and take a look at it and make any updates. If you have any questions or you want to ask any information about the site, there's a contact us button at the top where I'm just hovering my mouse over, and you just send us an email. Just show you the template what that looks like. Just pop your name, your email address, and just give us a short message about what you'd like us to reply back to you about. And I really hope that you found this quick demo really useful. And if you'd like any promotional resources for Staffordshire Connects, you're welcome to email myself, or as I say, if you just put a message in the contact us box, somebody will get back to you, and we can send some leaflets and different resources out to you. Okay.
Thank you, Lucy. That was really useful. I was surprised I had not seen the little shopping basket feature before, and I thought I had used Staffordshire Connect enough to know about it. So that's really useful that you can compile that shortlist. I guess it means for someone who's trying to support someone else, you can really take some time to explore the site and collect up the bits and pieces that you think might be of interest, and then have them there as almost a discussion tool that you've prepared and is ready to go. I mean, is that a way that people use it? Is that something that you promote?
There's loads of different ways to use the website. Yeah, you can obviously, like you said, you can add things to your shopping list. You can print information out. You can send it via the text message if you want to. So it's quite a versatile website for you to obviously make the most of. And there's any features that you've seen on other websites that you'd like to see featured on ours, just please let us know. We can always see if we can adapt it and make it even better than it is.
That's great. What does a text message recipient get in their text? Is that like a link back to the site?
You'll just get you'll be just sent a little short message that you can click on, and then obviously that would open up on your website as well, or you might simply just see the phone number that you can then contact that service on as well.
Lovely, thank you. And it was one of the things that as the Borough Council, we started to collate all of those bits of information that we thought we needed in the first lockdown, when we were reaching out to people and trying to stay in contact with the most vulnerable. And we wanted to know, right, if someone tells us that they need something, where are we going to go to try and help them find those answers and find those local organisations that are operating. And there was a variety of different places where that information was hosted, and some groups had suddenly sprung up, having never been a group before, and maybe started a Facebook group to stay in touch with one another or promote what they were able to offer, just little groups of neighbours and residents groups and so forth. And I think what I would want to say is to those groups who maybe don't see themselves as an organisation, if you are working together and offering something in an organised way, then it would seem perfectly reasonable to me to join a directory such as Staffordshire Connects, so that people can really find the stuff that is in their locality, that's really close to them, street by street. All right, with that then, we will move on to our next speaker. Lucy Grattan, thank you so much. Really appreciate your contribution today. You can
Thanks,
relax.
Sam.
Next up, we have got Anne Ross from Support Staffordshire. He's going to talk a little bit about what Support Staffordshire can offer, what it means to become a member there, and they've got a wealth of support for organisations, new and old. So Anne, if you're ready. Can't hear you, Anne, if you just want to knock yourself off mute.
Sorry about that. Yes, all these technical issues. Yes, hello everyone. Good afternoon. My name's Anne Ross. I'm the Locality Officer for Support Staffordshire. I'm going to just share my screen with you today and just tell you a little bit about our service. Okay. Lovely. So I just want to introduce Support Staffordshire really and start off. Let me just click on to get the screen operating. Okay, so Support Staffordshire, we support the voluntary community and social enterprise sector in Stafford Borough, and I just want to give you a brief overview today of our services. So who are Support Staffordshire and what do we do? We are a charitable organisation who are commissioned by Staffordshire County Council. Support Staffordshire provides support and development advice to voluntary groups, community organisations and social enterprises operating for the benefit of those who live or work in Staffordshire. We have 8 offices across Staffordshire: Stafford Borough, Cannock, East Staffordshire, Lichfield, Newcastle, Staffordshire Moorlands, Tamworth and South Staffordshire, and we all have locality officers in all of those areas to offer the same sort of advice as myself. And we offer a free membership to a full range of our services. One of those obviously is advice and support, and can include urgent advice when necessary to support members. That can be legal issues or loss of funding, for instance, or providing support around policies and procedures to any new groups where relevant. We can offer diverse volunteering opportunities here, as you can see. These can range from supporting groups with advertising and recruiting volunteers through our brokerage support, one-to-one support for new volunteers and supported volunteering. You can also sign up to volunteer through our website now via the Do It Staffordshire platform, which was launched by Staffordshire County Council at the end of the summer. And the site now enables people to volunteer and connect with local organisations specifically across Staffordshire. I'm just going to move on to the next slide. We promote well-being, friendship and fun in our communities. Various ways that we do this. We now have a social prescribing link advisors in our GP surgeries across Stafford who can support patients and signpost to various activities across the area. We can help promote events, share good news stories and promote valuable networking opportunities such as the VCSE community forums. Funding, we can help groups and organisations obtain funding. We can help members to access this funding and could tailor funding searches by matching their criteria to our funding search engines to access the best funding opportunities. We also have a dedicated web page on our website with up-to-date information to provide new funding opportunities or applications when they open, and through our social media platforms. We also write and oversee funding applications to enable the best outcomes to be achieved for some of our members. And we have a development and consultancy service as well, so we can subsidise costs involved in that if necessary. We can give advice and support on governance and development. So we can offer startup advice for new community groups. We can offer support to existing groups, considering a change to their structural governance, for instance. We can empower people through our training opportunities. We offer a full range of training and workshop opportunities through our Right Start training programme. This is currently being done online, but in the past has been held in community venues, obviously across the county, and we've now moved to online training, obviously as a result of the coronavirus. We also can offer bespoke training tailored to specific requirements and can deliver this to individual groups as and when this is required. For example, at the moment, we're currently delivering some bite-sized supportive communities training online on behalf of Staffordshire County Council. This is free to anyone in the community and involves how to support older people stay healthy and independent. We're also delivering our own Right Start training, and this is focusing really for volunteers. And we have 3 sessions coming up shortly in January. I just wanted to give you the dates of those, but I can give you more information on this later on, and should anyone want to contact me. Trustee roles and responsibilities. We've got a session on the 13th of January at 1:30 till 3. Writing good policies and procedures on the 21st of January, and adult safeguarding and awareness on the 28th of January. People can access our website to book onto any of these courses at www.supportstaffordshire.org.uk. And obviously, if people are in membership with us, they are eligible for free places on that training. We obviously help to organise and host events in our communities. We've done in the past, obviously, job fairs, volunteer fairs, and many other networking events, such as our voluntary and community online forums at the moment. Again, we normally take those out into the community, but as a result of the lockdown, and since then, we've been doing them online, and we do those quarterly. Next round of forums will be in March 21, and we'll be sending out information closer to the event. In addition, we in the last couple of years we've been doing our Volunteer Star Awards, and last year we held that at the Boathouse in Aston Marine near Stone, and that will hopefully go ahead next year now, as that was postponed this year because of the pandemic. We've rescheduled that date to the 8th of June, and all our events were obviously postponed this year as a result of the COVID, but we've rescheduled those now. But we have kept the nominations open, and obviously all of the ones submitted for this year are now being, are still being, you can still nominate. The closing date for nominations will be in March 21. So we've kept that open really. And we'd like to encourage people to nominate, especially with all the good work that's been carried around with volunteers and as a result of the pandemic. I'm just going to go on to the next slide. So why not become a member of Support Staffordshire? This is all relating to our membership. It's easy to become a member. Just complete one of our easy application forms, and these can be sent in to myself or a member of the team with a copy of a constitution if you're a community group. That would involve 3 hours of my time to support the group on a range of the services that I've just mentioned, and we're happy to obviously support and give advice and connect people. Just going to go on to the next screen. I'm just going to talk briefly about, there's not much here, it's just really about more of the things that we've just been discussed, and the support that we offer really. We obviously influence people. We've got up-to-date information being shared, best practice around being effective in the community, and obviously funding and legal information there around policies and partnerships and what's expected. we can provide know-how to make sure voluntary and community organisations get the right support at the right time. And we make sure that voluntary and community organisations have a voice and can influence policy and decisions that affect them and the people who use their services. We have a range of resources voluntary and community organisations can access to raise their profile and get their message across. We provide information through community communication channels. Sorry, I'll get my teeth in. And we've also, we have community connector volunteers as well in different localities and across the district that can help support new community groups as well. So that was just to mention about the community connectors. And there's more, skills and effectiveness, helping to get your message across. Now more than ever, organisations need to sharpen their skills to keep ahead of the game. So we can help to promote any messages through different resources that we have. We have our e-bulletin, which we produce monthly for our members, and that goes out with lots of news and information. We can provide access to some professional services as well, such as we do accounts for some voluntary groups, and we offer room hire in some of our venues across Staffordshire. So we can offer another range of services. I'm now going to come on to the Good Neighbour scheme. And I just want to tell you a little bit about this scheme, which was introduced in September, really, as a result of Support Staffordshire being awarded a little bit of funding from the National Lottery. And since September, we've continued really to support and help many groups develop who emerged as a result of the lockdown, and to assist them really in the creation of Good Neighbour schemes across Staffordshire as part of the COVID-19 Legacy project. The scheme is open and will run till March the 31st. And so what I wanted to just say really, if you are aware of any community groups who would like help or need support to formalise, please get in touch. Just a little bit of information there about what a good neighbourhood scheme is. These have been set up in local communities and are groups with a bank of volunteers who want to help their neighbours and other local people on a regular or occasional basis. The people who need support may include those who are elderly, infirm, disabled, or anyone who is isolated for a variety of reasons. And we know that isolation and loneliness can have a big impact on people. So that offer is available at the moment. I do have a flyer with more information on that, which I will let Sam have to share after this webinar, so if anybody needs that. And again, you can ask me any questions. And we do have a range of leaflets as well that are available about our membership and our training and our consultancy services. So again, if anybody wants any help or has any questions, I can provide those at a later date. And I think that's me done really. So Sam, if there are any questions from anybody, you can just let me know.
Thank you, Anne. Yeah, that was really, really useful. I really appreciate it. Such a wealth of information and opportunity there from Support Staffordshire. It doesn't really matter whether you're coming from a point of needing something really formal or kind of document-led, or actually that really tangible kind of skill set around working with people. You've kind of got all bases covered. So that's really helpful. There are a couple of questions. I'm going to sort of blend them together and hopefully it'll make sense. Well, firstly, we received a question about the digital divide, and it came up right in our very first webinar when we were talking about kind of accessing, benefits toolkits and online applications for stuff. And it's continued through the conversation around mental health just around the kind of people in our communities who are not comfortable using digital online platforms, not comfortable searching the web themselves. And as I mentioned to Lucy Grattan there around Staffordshire Connects, it's really helpful to have resources where people can get a text message, they can print stuff off and share it, they can do that pre-work to download and then take into a discussion. And so I guess I wondered how you offer some of the services from Support Staffordshire to people who are out working in communities that enables them to take that forward in a way that is inclusive, that doesn't exclude people digitally. You might do training online, for example, but then how do people take what they've learned forwards to be able to work in a face-to-face or telephone or postal environment?
I think really, if there are any community groups out there that are struggling at the moment, I'd urge them probably to get in touch with myself. We've recently just done some online forums, and as part of that, we've been in touch with the Community Learning Trust, and they are keen to sort of get everybody in the community that's struggling onto any courses that they can offer at the moment. So we were sharing some information on the forum last week in Stafford and yesterday on another forum that we were doing. That was just as an example of that. We'd got a community group up in Barlaston, actually, as it happens, who were keen it was one particular group that had got some elderly people that were struggling to get online and to connect, and so we've extended this offer to the group, and I think it's a group of about 20 people, and they are going to firstly start in January with some help via the telephone, which will ultimately lead up to them getting online and hopefully being able to have some courses around, digital help really on how to access the different sort of platforms. We're also doing, as I mentioned earlier in the presentation about the supportive communities training, we've got our training officers at the moment delivering some short bite-sized sessions, if you like, online around assistive technology and digital skills and how they can access some of that support. So really, we're here to offer that support to the community groups really that are struggling to get online, and to share that information really.
Brilliant. And I guess folks can just give you a call if they just need to chat over the phone about where to start.
Yeah, my details are still on the screen. I'm still sharing my screen, so you've got my access to my email address there, and that's our information line. But certainly, if you drop me an email, I'll certainly get back to anyone. Yeah.
Brilliant, thank you. And the second question, really, this kind of came up about, you've mentioned the Good Neighbour scheme, and earlier on we had a session this morning about mental health and wellbeing where we spoke a lot about loneliness and isolation, and we had Esther Bromley from Support Staffs presented on befriending. And I know that some of the folks watching might be thinking about setting up befriending services, setting up Good Neighbour schemes, albeit they might already have things that are in the pipeline. What kind of top couple of tips or bits of advice would you offer to those people that are thinking, we're really worried about loneliness and isolation, where do we start to try and tackle that in our communities? What can we tap into that's going to really help spark our imaginations or give us some tools to take that forward?
Well, certainly, we're offering that befriending training as part of our Right Start training, because as I said before, we are offering all sorts of training to support volunteers. We've got lots of resources on our website as well. Obviously at the start of COVID, we put a lot of information up there for those would-be volunteers that were getting started, really to protect them as well as people that they're working alongside. And yes, so I've got my line of thought there regarding the Good Neighbour scheme. we've got a 32-page toolkit. So if anybody is interested in setting up one of those schemes, or they're just new and small, might be just a small number of people, again, that offer is there. We can support it. Just for them to get in touch, really, we can share that toolkit with them, and it's a step-by-step guide. It's quite comprehensive, but it can help really provide the information that's necessary for them to go out there and do it in a safe manner, really, and to provide them with all that information that they needed, and around governance, around the policies and procedures that we mentioned earlier. Yeah, so anything like that we can support, but again, my number's there, and I'd be happy to share that information if there is anybody out there that's thinking of doing that. Did that answer your question, Sam? I think
yeah,
there
it
might
does.
have been something else.
No, it's so useful and reassuring to know that people don't have to invent this for themselves. You don't have to write the policy. You don't have to come up with the structure, you know, or try and figure out what the boundaries are. It's already there. You can reach out for that support, and someone will actually guide you through, well, we've thought this through and we've experienced it, and let us show you what we already know to help you along the way. So that's great, Anne. Thank you so much, and thanks for your presentation today.
I'm going to come off the screen now, so stop sharing the screen.
And with that, I'm going to hand on to our next speaker, Lucy Cox from Skivvies. Welcome, Lucy, and thank you so much for joining us and being with us today. I'm going to hand you the floor.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, I'm Lucy. I'm from Skivvies, which stands for Staffordshire Council of Voluntary Youth Services. It's quite a mouthful, so as Sam says, most people tend to stick to the acronym. So I'm going to share my screen as well, so you should see my presentation shortly. Okay, so yeah, we're a charity and we exist to support other community and voluntary organisations in Staffordshire, with a particular focus on those that work with children, young people and families. So you will notice some similarities about what Anne's just spoke about and support Staffordshire, but ours is specifically around those groups that support children, young people and families. We've been around since the early 80s, so our work has changed a lot since then. And I've been here for just over 5 years. I'm going to talk about 3 areas of our work today, and that's our membership and the support we can provide for community groups, youth engagement and our youth scene campaign. So first of all, our membership. We work in a similar way to Support Staffordshire and have a membership of organisations, and it's free to join. We have currently around 200 members for the whole of Staffordshire, and about 40 in Stafford. You can see some on the screen there. It doesn't matter how big, small, old or new the organisation are, it's just any not-for-profit organisation that's working with children, young people or families. And members can access different levels of support dependent on their needs. Some things might include looking for funding, policies and procedures, and again, we can provide the templates. Safeguarding advice, youth engagement, which I'm going to talk a bit more about in a minute. Free training, and that might include things like first aid, safeguarding, youth work, food safety. Advice around DBS, safer recruitment. It's always important when working with young people and vulnerable adults. And then there's the general advice and guidance from a development worker. So lately we've been given a lot of advice about the permitted youth activities and what's allowed and what's not allowed during lockdown, for groups that have been reopening. And there was another update yesterday when we were released from lockdown. We provide a voice for the voluntary sector both nationally and locally, so creating opportunities for the sector and influencing the way that services are delivered. We can support new residents to set up completely new community groups, helping them think about the appropriate governance structures, put in place their policies and procedures and all the other practicalities around setting up a community group, which can often seem quite daunting at first. So lots of groups have formed recently as part of the COVID-19 response, and both Skivvies and Support Staffordshire are really happy to work with those groups to become more formal if that's the route they want to go down. We have a set of minimum standards, what we call minimum standards, to become members, and that's to ensure that the groups are operating safely and robustly, in a way that safeguards themselves and the children and young people that they work with. So we ask for a certain set of policies and procedures to be in place. If they're not, that's fine. We can work with you to create those. But those are things like a safeguarding policy, an equality policy, just the key ones that we consider to be minimum standards. So moving on to youth engagement. So as well as our group with, as well as our work with groups and organisations, we also work directly with young people through our youth engagement project. This includes working with members of the Youth Parliament, Staffordshire Youth Union, which is a youth council, the Make Your Mark campaign, and generally just giving young people the opportunity to influence decision makers, both locally and nationally. Our youth council is made up of young people from all over Staffordshire, and they meet regularly, although it's virtually at the moment, to discuss topics that they feel strongly about, plan campaigns and encourage other young people to have their say. We've worked with a number of parish councils in Staffordshire who want to increase their engagement with young people. So that could be something short term, like a consultation, or it could be that you're thinking about recruiting a youth representative for the parish council. In some areas, we've even helped the local town or parish council set up their own youth council. So, for example, Rugeley Youth Council just launched just a couple of weeks ago. And there's quite a lot of perceived barriers when it comes to working with young people if it's not something you've done before, but we can help you consider any additional policies that you might need to put in place or understand whether a DBS is required, those kind of things. Finally, a quick word on our Youth Scene campaign. It was due to launch back in the spring, but unfortunately our launch event was cancelled, so it hasn't quite been as prominent as we'd have hoped. It's basically a social media campaign to celebrate the good things that young people are doing in our communities. We found that the local press is often full of negative stories, so we wanted to share the positive things and show that the majority of young people are doing really, really good things in their communities. So anyone can submit a story and a photograph on our website. That's just a quick view of the form on the website there, so it's nice and quick. And we'll share them then on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. And there's been stories about young people volunteering, supporting those who were shielding. We had a young man who'd raised a lot of money through 100 acts of kindness, and he then went on to get a letter from the Prime Minister. So it can be something really big, it can be something small, but we just want to celebrate those good things that young people are doing. So yeah, that's a really quick overview of some of our work. I hope I've made sense there. I know I talk pretty fast, so apologies for that. And I'm really happy to have a chat with anyone who thinks we might be able to help. My contact details should be on the screen there. And if you visit our website, you'll find all the links for the social media and for Skivvies and for Youth Scene. So is that okay?
That is wonderful. Thank you, Lucy. Yep, your contact details are definitely up there now for everyone. So there's a couple of phone numbers and email address on the website if people want to get in touch. It's such an interesting space, the kind of youth movement at the moment. You know, young people really have had it tough, haven't they? We've all had it tough, but not being able to go to school and then kind of being thrust back into the pressures of trying to pick up education and everything that was missed, but then not be able to see your friends socially as well. If, you know, there are opportunities for those people to use those energies, use their imagination, their skills and talents, gosh, you know, there's so much kindness that can be offered. And I think the work that Skivvies are doing is just so important to celebrate and recognise that with Youth Scene, as well as supporting the grown-ups in the background that try and kind of group people together and organise them in some way to make it really productive and efficient. Do you work with Scouts associations and groups like that?
So we do work with Scouts, but we work with the national headquarters, the Staffordshire headquarters, sorry, which is in New Toxeter. So we do have some links with groups directly, but we tend to send all our communications through the HQ in New Toxeter, and they filter it down to the local branches, and that's the same with guides as well.
Brilliant. Okay. Would you give any kind of top tips to any of our parishes that are out there at the moment that may be thinking about like a kind of youth council? Where would they start? What are the first couple of things you would suggest they go and do?
I think have a chat with us. It can be really daunting to think about to work with young people if it's not something you've done already. So have a chat with us. Don't be scared of young people. They're probably just as scared of you, but talk to them, find out what they want. We quite often, a good one is we get parish councils coming to us and say, we're going to have a skate park. Brilliant that you're doing for something for young people, but have you even asked them if that's what they want? And that's always a good starting point. Ask young people what they want.
And can you support parish councillors to do that ask? You know, how do you consult with young people? How do you speak to them on their level and get back the information that you need? Can you support them with that sort of work?
Yeah, so our youth engagement coordinator, Josh, he'd come and have a chat with you, perhaps help make links with local schools if there are any in your villages, even involve the youth council. And yeah, he can help you with some tips on how to talk to them. Wonderful.
Thank you, Lucy.
Thank
really
you.
Valuable. Really appreciate you giving your time to come along today, and thanks for participating.
Thank you.
You can relax. Okay. And last but by no means least, we have Sarah James with us from Staffordshire County Council, who is going to talk about doing our bit. So welcome, Sarah. Thank you for giving up your time as well. I hope you're all ready, and I've bought you enough time to kind of launch your screen.
Hello everybody, good afternoon. I'm Sarah James. I'm the Campaigns and Internal Comms Manager at Staffordshire County Council. Can you hear me all right, Sam?
Yes, I can hear you.
Cool. All right, I'm just going to try and share my screen, so bear with me 1 second while I share that briefly. Here we go. Okay. Okay, so can you see that, Sam? Because I can't see anybody on the screen.
Sarah, we can see it, thank you.
Yeah, great, thank you. So I'm here to talk just very briefly about doing our bit. It's a campaign that we launched back in May of last year, which seems like almost 10 years ago after what we've been dealing with coronavirus. But where this came from was rooted deep within our strategic plan. I'm not going to talk a long time about that, but just flashing up on the screen is our plan on a page, which is governing all of the activity that we do as a county council throughout all of the different services that we run. The key part that underpins doing our bit is actually on the top right under principles, in terms of doing work to encourage residents and communities to help themselves and one another. And in essence, what we're talking about there is empowering communities and supporting community action. So doing our bit was kind of born of that ambition, and is actually a key part of the programme that we've committed to in our community's leadership group, of which Gary from Support Staffordshire and Phil from Skivvies are actually a part. So what is doing our bit? So it is there to support community action, and right at its heart it is a website, which probably won't surprise you. It's really simple. It's got a number of key elements, which include most importantly a section around inspiration. So that inspiration is split into 3 broad asks: look after you and your family's health and well-being, help out others who might need a hand, so those in our society who are perhaps a little bit more vulnerable, and help to keep your area clean, green and safe. But equally as importantly, on this site you'll also find information about sources of funding that are available through the county council, so funding that's available for communities to take action around what's important to them, and also information about volunteering. And I think it was Anne who earlier on mentioned Do It, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that at the end of this presentation, because that's a big part of that volunteering offer and us coordinating some of that. So what happened in year 1? So it probably wasn't even a year, to be honest. It was 10 months. We'd launched it in May. We did a lot of internal campaign work as well as some external work. We've created the brand, we've launched the website, We did a winter campaign, doing our bit in winter, which was what it kind of says on the tin around what you can do in those winter months to support people in your community. And linked doing our bit into some of our bigger campaigns. You might have seen our Air Aware campaign, which was targeted at 12 areas in particular across the county where there was concerns around air quality. We launched the People Helping People Fund, so that was one of the pots of funding that were available to help support this work, and lots of case studies, so Mocop commuters, Newcastle lads and dads, the Red Lion pub to hub, lots of different case studies from across the county, and a couple of stakeholder events, the Staffordshire 100, as well as spring members and senior managers events. And then COVID hit. So all of the plans that we'd got that were sort of going forward after that point were put on ice or changed. The key thing that we kept going during that time was our coronavirus kindness campaign. So obviously we didn't have a huge amount of time to plan or prepare anything when the pandemic hit. But coronavirus kindness was about giving information about how people could support people safely in their communities during a time when there was a virus circulating in our communities, and that was really well received. So we'd had some good engagement over the first 12 months. Over that period, our Get Inspired pages had been visited over 15,000 times. But we want to do more, and we've learned an awful lot as well over the past 12 months. So what is next? This in a nutshell, this has got four key things that we've got in our mind that we would like to explore next for doing our bit. The first thing is that as part of the coronavirus pandemic, it's really obvious that people act if they feel really passionately about something in their communities, and they will galvanise. You've seen many of those groups, those Facebook groups, spring up out of nowhere with people wanting to help and support people in their communities. We would like to really build on that, and would like to explore the opportunity for whether doing our bit local campaigns would have more impact than us talking at a county-wide level. So, for example, us talking about, if we're talking about health and well-being, talking about regularly going for a walk for 30 minutes, you know, many people know that that is something that they should do. Actually, if we started to talk about, there's a great group called Stafford Ramblers Association that you can go and join and walk for 30 minutes, and we can help and promote and amplify what existing groups are already out there, then wouldn't that be much more of a compelling offer to people? So we're really keen to explore what that might look like, and if people would be willing to get involved in something like that. Aligning our external campaigns with doing our bit. So I'll skip to the next slide just so that I can talk to you a little bit about that. So what we found was, as part of the first 12 months, that when there was a really clear ask in a specific campaign that got a bit of budget behind it, needed to put a bit of welly behind some of these campaigns to make them land, because there's so much out there in terms of people receiving so many different messages from all different channels in their day-to-day life. So this is one that we're running at the moment, as linked to doing our bit, but particularly around coronavirus. I don't know if any of you have seen this yet, but it's called Do It For What Matters. And we've joined together as a partnership across Staffordshire and across Stoke City Council, and with our NHS police and fire comms colleagues, to run this campaign to encourage people to keep sticking to those basic coronavirus guidelines so that we can get out of tier 3 as swiftly as we possibly can and get back to what matters to us, whether it's seeing your grandchildren, going to the gym, or popping down to the pub for a pint. So that's an important part of what we're doing next, how we can use some of our big campaigns to link to doing our bit going forward. The other bit in terms of what's next is about volunteering. And when we initially launched doing our bit, it was actually, we made a conscious decision not to promote formal volunteering as part of that, because doing our bit was much more about the small things you can do without having to make that formal volunteering commitment. But I think over time, and certainly over the COVID pandemic, volunteering seems to have changed, and the way that people see volunteering has changed, especially through the Good Sam app and the work that the NHS did in terms of getting people to sign up for very sort of small tasks. It doesn't have to be a huge commitment. It can be just as simple as signing up to go and pick up somebody's prescription from a local pharmacy. So we've now started to do something similar in Staffordshire, and that's the Do It platform that Anne referred to earlier. And Do It is basically about matching groups who need volunteers with people who want to volunteer, and that can be volunteering at all different levels, like we say, from a very small task up to something that's a little bit more formal. So we've started to work that now into Doing Our Bit, and you'll see that the branding looks very similar across Doing Our Bit and Do It. But it just brings an additional element to the campaign and something really practical that we can do to help match people with different needs in the community. So that is a really whistle-stop tour of Doing Our Bit, and a quick overview of the plans that are going forward over the next 6 to 12 months. That's about it from me. Is there any questions that you wanted to ask?
Sarah, thank you. That was great. I mean, what fantastic visuals that there were there. That campaign looks really, really wonderful. And I think it's, you know, it's so great that there's an opportunity there for people to just get so much inspiration. Yeah, the Get Inspired page, I can well understand why you've had 15,000 views on there. Was there anything in particular that you found people were more drawn to, types of activity that people really wanted to do? I mean, I'm guessing coronavirus, the response there is going to be.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is some of the learning that we took, was that, like I say, there's so much that is out there. And I think in general, people know what they can do to kind of help themselves and others. I think very often it's not that they don't know, it's quite often that they potentially don't want to. So, for example, eat 5 a day. If I was to say to you, eat 5 a day, that's a really good, simple thing you can do to just to support your own health and well-being. I think most of us would kind of nod and say, yeah, I know I should eat 5 a day, but actually I certainly don't do it. So it's not necessarily about not that they don't know about these things. It's about helping them to basically get involved with them, and it needs a bit of welly putting behind it. So the ones that really worked were things like Air Aware, where we did have more of a campaign budget and a real specific ask, which in the Air Aware campaign was, don't idle at the school gates. So don't sit in your car and leave the car running. And we involved schools within that, and there were black balloons involved, because within a few minutes of an idling a car, it would fill X amount of black balloonfuls of polluted air into the community around that school. So where there was something, that real simple ask, that really worked well. And coronavirus kindness, those pages were hit quite substantially at the time for obvious reasons. But yeah, I'm really keen to explore this idea of kind of a local, doing our bit local, and how we could use our reach on our platforms. We've got nearly 40,000, I think, Twitter followers. We've got quite sort of big platforms that we could use to promote work that's already happening locally. And so rather than us just talking in general about being healthy or doing something good for your environment, we can actually signpost people to some of the groups and build on the strengths that are already there locally. I think that would be much more compelling.
Yeah, certainly. I completely agree. Thank you so much, and thank you for your presentation today. It's really, really valuable.
You're welcome.
With us. So yeah, I think, guys, that concludes our speakers for today, and you know, what a useful session that's been. You know, if you're a group or a representative of a group here today and you're thinking, right, well, you know, we know the stuff that we want to do, where do we start? Support staff, Skivvies, go to those guys. They will help you with all the tools that you need to kind of get off the ground. If you're sitting there thinking, we want to do a lot of stuff, but we don't really know what to do, think about what assets you've got, what skills and talents have you as an individual got, what have your organisation got that you can offer, what do you have in abundance? Is it time? Is it some sort of resource? Is it a skill or a knowledge area? And go to support staff, go to Skivvies and let them know, this is what we've got to work with. What can we do with that? Ask your residents, you know, what do you need? What's concerning you? What are your issues? Where do you need some help? What gifts and talents have you got to share with us all? And if you don't know really how to engage with those residents, support staff and Skivvies, go back to them. If you're already doing something great, fantastic, we know that so many of you are doing great stuff already. go to Doing Our Bit, look at the Get Inspired pages and the coronavirus kindness, pick up some new ideas, think about how you can sustain that momentum. Sometimes you have a great idea, loads of energy gets kick-started, people come out of the woodwork, they're very supportive, and it takes new ideas and fresh thinking and fresh energy all the time to keep that going. And we're not out of this unusual time yet where people are needing our support. So do look at those avenues for inspiration. Again, if you're doing something great, get yourself on Staffordshire Connects, let people know that you're out there and what you're doing, make yourself visible. One of the things we really reflected on in the mental wellbeing and the financial hardship sessions earlier this week was that all partners are committed to a no wrong door approach. We don't want anyone to come to any of us asking for something and think, well, we can't answer that. We always want to be able to say, but we know a man who can. And getting yourselves on Staffordshire Connects will help you to be able to utilise and connect in a partnership way, find those other resources so that you're never a wrong door for someone. You've got that at your fingertips, and equally someone else can find you, you're local to your residents, and you want those organisations that they might approach because they've got bigger platforms to be able to find their way back to what's right on their doorstep. Promote it and celebrate what you're doing. Please celebrate your volunteers with the Volunteer Star Awards. Please celebrate your young people with Youth Scene, get those nominations in. It's so important. We've just had the Borough Council Community Awards, which we're so proud of, and so proud of all of the winners in those categories. There's more opportunities in front of us to recognise more people, so please do make use of those. I'm going to close our session very, very shortly just by doing, as promised, the last contact screen. So all of your contact information should be there now. You can see there at the top how to contact myself and Sarah Ruff. We are at health@staffordboroughcouncil.gov.uk. You've got the main telephone number there. We really want to welcome your feedback, the good and the bad, on these webinars. Please let us know what you thought, what we could do better. And again, if there's topics and speakers you want to hear about in future, let us know about those. This doesn't need to be the end. If you missed the earlier webinars, we will be promoting those YouTube links so you can go back and watch those retrospectively. And with our speakers' permission, we will share slides and resources and leaflets and links and all those things so that you've got all the resource that's being presented to you today to go back and delve into all of that good stuff. So thank you again all for your time. Really appreciate it. Thank you, panelists, and take care.